In this session, I'm going to define what project success is, how we can influence project success, and what are the indicators that your project was successful. Of course, we have to identify the parameters that are in control of the project manager and the external parameters. So let's have a look first at the importance of defining project success. Projects and project managers are evaluated on the success of the project. How well have the projects been completed? In order to do that, we have to define clear success parameters at the moment of the definition of the project. They have to be included in the charter. Project managers are evaluated on their successes, and bonuses may depend on it. Even promotions may depend on the success rate of the project manager. What are the parameters that are in control by the project manager? According to the PMI, the project manager should be in total control of the project. Mainly, the project manager has to take into account the 4 parameters defined by the triple constraint: cost, time, scope, and quality. However, the function of project manager has evolved, and a project manager today also has to understand the business model and the strategy of the organization. All decisions have to be made to support the business model and the strategy. External parameters also can influence the project. Economical circumstances may have an important impact on the project and its profitability. For example, the effect on oil prices and exchange rates of currencies. Another parameter which is very important is the acceptance of the solution by the people. Now, there may be some discussion about this parameter. Is this an external or an internal parameter? As a project manager, you should be in charge of a successful project. Does it mean that the people will have to be using the solution that you completed? Are you responsible for this? If it's not defined as such, you are not. But in my personal opinion, why the hell should you do a project that later will not be used by the people? So when you're doing the project, it may be important to integrate in the plan step-by-step approaches so that the people can get used to the new systems that are being produced, the new elements that you are creating. Doing it step by step will assure the acceptance of the solution by the people. We can also look at unexpected successes or long-term effects. Imagine you invent a glue that doesn't glue. Can you make a success out of it? Well, somebody did. They made the Post-its. The glue or a glue normally is made to stick two things together. In this case, the glue used on Post-it doesn't stick things together permanently, so you can remove the Post-its and put them on different surfaces. They even made Post-its you can put on your computer screen. There is an application to use Post-its on your computer. A long time ago, somebody was working on a project, making it possible to send messages with mobile phones, SMS or text messaging. It was not a high priority project because nobody was giving attention to it. But the moment when it was released, it was an enormous success and it has been a cash cow for many years for telecom companies. Today we have other means of communication, but I'm sure many of you still use the classical text messaging. A very important or very famous example of project failure and long-term effects is the Sydney Opera House. Books have been written about this project. It was too late, too expensive, the most expensive opera house, the highest price per square meter of podium, and things like that. But can you still imagine Sydney without the opera house? It has become a landmark that is recognized worldwide. The same example is the Eiffel Tower. The people of Paris wanted it to be destroyed after the World Exhibition, but you can still visit it today, and we cannot imagine Paris without the Eiffel Tower. So, how can you influence project success? You have a list of different items that can help you to create a successful project. A very important item, point one, is about communications. Communications is very important. Clear agreements on all parameters, no ambiguous words, clearly defined, very clearly described. A flexible approach to project management. When changes happen, you have to do something about it. Clear leadership. Leadership is very important in a project environment. Stakeholder management, very important. Realistic estimates. You start by making realistic estimates. When they're too short or too long, you may lose the respect and the confidence of the client and the sponsor. Some people tend to focus on techniques. Don't focus on tools and techniques only. The human aspect is very important, and in fact, you have to focus on the outcome of the project. Work with trained and experienced project managers. A start is taking this course or reading my books. Get management support. When the management doesn't support you, nothing will work. Without support, you create a new The Alamo. They didn't have support and they were slaughtered by the enemy. You have to engage the project manager as early as possible and even during the business evaluation or the sales cycle. The faster the project manager knows about the project, the more contact he or she will have had with the client and will better understand what the project is about. Expectations have to be set right. What can the customer expect? What was the planning and what is the reality? What are the things or the problems to deal with? An item that isn't mentioned in many cases is to be honest. Honesty will bring you a lot of advantages. People will trust you. You tell them what it is about. Don't hide the bad news. Provide solutions. And of course, if you're working with a lot of projects, when project management has become an important part of your organization, you have to build a methodology and use the lessons learned from every project in an efficient way. So let's have a look. What are the indicators that your project was a success? First of all, when the work was accepted by the customer. A better recognition is that you can use the name of the customer as a reference. An indication that the project was successful but not really a confirmation is that all changes were made in common agreement. All the changes were agreed by both or all parties. Day-to-day operations were not or minimally disturbed. Disturbing operations can be a very important parameter because when operations are not ongoing, they may create a lot of losses. You added value to the company and its assets. The results were proven. It means savings or profits confirmed. This can be sometimes difficult. Imagine you have a project where you improve the isolation or insulation of a building and put more efficient heating technology in it. You calculate a certain amount of savings when this technology is implemented. The next winter or after the next winter, the customer controls the results and sees that, in fact, there is an increase of expenses of cost related to heating. You may have a discussion at hand here, but the element that you have to look at is that you have to compare the initial situation with the future situations. Probably the winter was colder, so you have to calculate the heating expenses of that new year, that new installation that was used to a reference number. They call it degree days. When you calculate all the expenses of all the years to the reference degree days, you can compare the costs from year to year. And you will see that the conclusion is very simple. In case you would not have done the investment, you would have even paid a lot more than what you pay today. An additional element in project success is that the people accept the project. You are the hero. You provided them a new system which is performing a lot better than the old system. This may be more difficult, like I said before. It may be difficult that people will accept the work. You may have to organize your project in a way that accepting the work for the people will become easier. For example, by implementing the project step by step or by providing switchovers between the old and the new system so that the people can slowly migrate on their own pace. And of course, your customer is satisfied. They come for new contracts to you. Your business is increasing. And that's a very strong indicator that your project was successful. So, project success, a very important parameter. You have to define it at the beginning because it's very essential and important for you as a project manager, but also for your company. In case there are decisions, you can say, here, my project was a success. The decisions that were made were correct. So, I thank you for this session. Great work. I will see you in the next session.